So after Arsenal dropped more points in the Premier League with their draw against Chelsea, I thought it's a good idea to go everything that my thoughts are around the club right now and potentially why the team could be good but the situation is not the best it could be right now. So let's get into it. Now this is going to be a lot more of an informal chat than I usually do. It's going to be much more of my opinions than necessarily straight statistics, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out of the club because I do think it has been quite a torrid time for the team overall, and I think that is definitely fair enough to say. And of course, looking at the Premier League table, it doesn't look great from first lookings. We are 4th in the league, actually behind Chelsea, who we just drew to. We really shouldn't be at this point, and we're only 3 points ahead of 11th. It's a very tight league in between those positions, and I think every single team has had problems and has been struggling in different ways, other than obviously Liverpool have won 9 out of their 11 games, and even in games they haven't played well against us, against Chelsea, still ended up getting good results out of them, which see them 9 points ahead of us. Now I do think it is completely valid to say that Arsenal are really let us down a little bit this year. After 11 games, to be 9 points behind the top of the league is pretty bad and kind of unforgivable. We've spoken about it, but the lack of creativity when Odegaard got injured, trying to play Marino in all these different roles where we really should just keep it simple for him, and the heavy reliance on Saka to produce things has really cost the team. However, what I will say is that in the game against Inter Milan and Chelsea, despite not getting the results that Arsenal necessarily want, we have seen at least a better performance from the team overall, back to what it used to be, other than against Newcastle and Bournemouth, where they were pretty poor overall. Now, there's a few moments in the Chelsea game which I thought were quite interesting. Obviously, we scored in the second half with Martinelli, who, you know, on and off this season, we could definitely say. But I loved it when Odegaard played brilliant in this game, by the way, and come back and to put that sort of performance and shift in with his running off the ball and everything definitely shows why he needs to be in the team more. But as you can see, Saka gets into these central areas. He creates overload. You get Havertz actually going down the right, but it's fine because now we've got Odegaard creating, so Saka can vacate that spot and go into other positions. This also allows people to get Martinelli as a dummy run when Rice comes inside here, which ends up giving Martinelli and Saka actually run into the box, and in the end Martinelli ends up putting it away from the tight angle. Now, I've spoken about it in a lot of my videos before, but we haven't really had great attacking patterns this season. I think overall the attack hasn't worked at all, I would argue, because people like Havertz have had to come deeper. He's not allowed to be in the box as much, and this whole crossing system hasn't really worked as well when we don't have reliable crosses on the pitch other than Saka. Now Odegaard's back, at least we do have that in some metrics, so I reckon the team will get better, but we will have to see. And now Odegaard was clearly a very big miss for Arsenal. You can see by the statistics here the sort of actual effort he was putting in per game, and this doesn't even touch on his off the ball work. But look, you can just see so many progressive carries. He's in the top 1% of progressive passes per 90, which is just an incredible feat, and he's just creating so much for the team, and to miss someone who creates that much for us is going to be obviously very annoying and going to be bad for us in central areas. Even though he did create a bit in the Chelsea game and obviously got an assist, our progressive passes wasn't exactly there, if you can see by this stat by Canon Stats. This was the most progressive passes throughout that sort of game, and of course Odegaard made the most with 6, but like we've seen, 10 is average for him per game, so he was at a lower rate than usual, and the deep completions are just not enough. We've got a couple there by Odegaard, but Ben White did a few, and then other than that there's barely any. I just don't really think we're getting our midfield to work with our attack and actually link that play up the field, and this is why I think we've seen a lot more of Darragh hoofing the ball this year, which we've seen us do nearly 60 or 70% of times on goal kicks, which should be our plan B, not our plan A. But despite us playing better, Wood still not is very convincing from Arsenal. I get Chelsea are a good side, they've been really good this season, and it's not going to be the easiest place to go, but you look at the statistics, it was pretty much even in every metric, so we're still not getting the ball as much as we would probably want to. And you compare that to some of the games we've been poor in. Newcastle not created enough again. Yep, again we had good defensive performance in that game, but our defense has been unreliable. We conceded 1 good goal, and despite having the ball we were unable to create that much of a 1xg and 1 shot on target. And even in games where we finally do create a little bit amount of chances, like against Inter where we got 1.8 xg, which is still not amazing, but it is what it is, we just didn't really put it away. We had a few here and there chances, but I think the reason why that xg is so high is because we had 20 shots. When you factor in, look at where we're shooting from, a lot of them in the end up counting as like 0.1s. Yeah, look, 0.03 shot, 0.08, very small little amount of shots, and the real big ones where we should score from, we end up not scoring from anyway. So now I will say that I do think that is our major issue. I think there's been encouraging signs against Chelsea and Inter specifically that the team might be locking in, but to be 9 points behind Liverpool means we are relying on a lot from other teams and relying on our performances to get better as well. And despite us playing better, I think our tactics in the last few games have been really good as well. I only think Arteta really tactically let us down against Newcastle and Bournemouth. I think all the other games, it wasn't really his fault. If you're not putting the ball in the back of the net, it does not matter how much you do, it won't get better. And it's not really reliable that we have to create so much to score so little. Now, another great example of this that could be seen in isolation is when Arsenal played Leicester. Now, this was definitely our best attacking performance of the season. Obviously, a big reason for that was the Calafiori and Timber, which we've barely ever seen since because of injuries for both of them. Well, we created a 4.6 XG and then eventually did score 4 goals. We're getting 2 in the 90th minute. Now, Manchester United, who are a team that are considerably worse than Arsenal right now, although that, you know, they look a bit better under Van Nistelrooy and have probably a weaker squad overall than the Arsenal in all metrics, played the same Leicester team and ended up getting a 0.7 XG, yet they scored 3 goals. And their goals were like this by Bruno. He's on the edge of the box, he curls the ball into the corner, things that you want to see some of your attacking players do. And I know this is nitpicking, and maybe if we'd scored as many goals as we had in the year, it wouldn't be as bad, but Arsenal do not have that great attacking player that we have always needed. We don't have someone that will reliably just turn up and score when you need it the most. Trossard does do that a lot off the bench, to be fair to him, but obviously right now he is on absolute awful mode and just keeps missing chances and costing the team. And that is the thing I think compares us to Liverpool, Man City. If they're in danger, they do have players that can just turn it on. We have Saka and Odegaard who can produce magic, but that is it really. We have no one else in the team that is going to shoot from long range anyway. We're not really a very long rangey team, and it's something that Waneri has been very regarded of doing, which maybe we should have played him a bit more. However, I guess what is done, and we can't really look at the past, and we can only improve on what we have. So first of all, we do have to look at the future of the club after this international break. Now, there's rumours that Arsenal have potentially a fully fit squad. I know Saka and Rice have picked up knocks against Chelsea, which means they won't be going to England duty, which if they're back for the next game is a complete dub, we will take that. But you look at our next fixtures and you do think there is definitely some slip up potential, but if we are going to have this form and going to get back in this title race, then we need to take these opportunities. Now, of course, you've got Nottingham Forest at home, who have been playing brilliant this season. They are just behind us in the league, I think. They did lose to Newcastle on the weekend, and what they do is they make games like a basketball game. They want you to go back and forth because they're so good on the counter attack with the pace they have in behind, which could be an issue for Arsenal if we keep the ball a lot at home when Nottingham Forest can break on us. So we will have to be careful. They're not an easy game at all, but obviously we should be having enough to win. Then we have to focus on the Champions League now because we lost to Inter, and you know that's how it is. We've got to focus on these games. Away to Sporting, on any given day, a very hard opponent, but of course Amorim, the man who's just joined Man United, will be leaving. This will only be the second game that the new manager will have in charge, and considering how intent their system is, that may give us an opportunity to win there. Then we've got West Ham, who should be winnable. They've been really poor this season, and obviously we won 6-0 there last year. And then we've got the new United under Amorim, and then Fulham. 2 tough games that are going to have to take with the punches and beat them back. We lost to Fulham last year. United's always a tough game at the Emirates, so we're going to have to try our best. If you compare that to Liverpool's games in particular, then Liverpool do have some real tough games coming up that could impact us. Southampton away, first of all, we won't look at, and obviously Real Madrid in the Champions League, it is what it is. But they do play Man City on the 1st of December. If there's a draw in that game, if Liverpool or Man City, one of them's going to slip up there, we have to get back into it. And we're only 4 points behind Man City, so we can easily catch them. It's just Liverpool being 9 points ahead. We've really got to get our wits about us to get. After that, we've also got Newcastle away, which us and Man City have both dropped points in, and then Everton away, which is always a tough game for Liverpool, and they lost there last season, I'm pretty sure. Overall, I think it is important to think that Arsenal definitely still have a chance in the future, but they need to turn up now. We need to fix some of our attacking problems specifically and some of our small defensive errors and get better as a team. We're not going to win this league by being so far off it. I know it's early on and people will say it's still early, but things can get away from you too quickly if you do not act. So we just need to be careful. Now let me know what you guys think about this sort of style of video. It's a lot more talkative, a lot more less edited, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out there right now. Let me know in the comments what you think, and thank you guys for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next one.